much stuff happening this week. It's
Putin-
actually wild.
This week was
week is
this last
crazy.
week
Like
was insane.
Putin's fucked. Like I don't even know. How do you say this guy's name, Rishi?
Okay, his name
Prigozhin?
is Yevgeny Prigozhin.
Prigozhin. I'm
He's
just
the
gonna say
leader.
Prigozhin.
He's the leader of the
The
Wagner group.
So the Wagner.
It's actually
group-
Wagner. I'm pretty sure.
Wagner. So this group was actually hired by Putin, right, to fight in the Ukrainian war,
Right.
and then they ended up going against him because he wouldn't give them.
And they staged the
ammunition.
coup. Exactly.
And they staged
Yep.
the coup essentially.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this, which I still interested to get your guys' take on, was the fact that like he suddenly stopped and had all these arrangements with Putin, right? And mind you, they used to be like really good friends. So like, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think Putin had his family? Do you think what kind of was like the theory behind that?
What happened was that he tried to stop it with violence and try to use his military to stop it, and he couldn't because they were gonna take over. Moscow, right? Because what had they done before? They
They took over the entire southwestern
not only that,
part of Russia.
they mutinized and they captured Rostovo-Don, if I'm saying
That's
that
the
correct.
southwestern part of
Yeah,
Russia.
there, and that's like an important it's a Russian military hub, right? So like now, like not only is he fighting on the Ukrainian front, and now he has to worry about people climbing up on his own country, Russia, right?
No, but he was on the record saying that he would pull out of the Ukrainian war.
I don't buy that. I'm gonna be honest
On
here.
the record with Putin? Are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
I gotta take Putin's word for it. Then, man. Like Putin's word doesn't mean
ridiculous.
shit. What are you talking about?
Putin's
Like-
word means nothing. If that only means that he's just gonna be like more
It
insightful.
wasn't.
On
I said Prigozhin, that guy.
Oh,
He was saying that he was gonna pull out of the Ukrainian war.
why would he pull out of the Ukrainian war?
He doesn't.
He's the one
He doesn't
launching-
think. No. He's doing it because Putin's hired him to do it. He's like if
No,
I'm
no,
prime
they're-
minister, he was gonna pull out.
Right, yeah,
He's not
no,
fighting.
no, no.
He's not like he doesn't want to do. the war.
They're a mercenary group. They're
Yes.
hired by Putin to fight
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
Ukrainian war.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's the thing. Here's the thing. Look what happened now. They're hired to find them in the Ukrainian war. Then they tried a coup attempt, which then he stopped, right? And then he also stopped the attack on Moscow. But now what does this mean for the war? So now those same soldiers who were once fighting with each other, then fought against each other
Yep.
and were killing each other, are now being forced to
Fight
fight
together
with
again.
each other again
Right.
against the Ukraine.
No,
Like
but
what
my
is
thing
that?
is why do you think that? Why do you think the coup got stopped?
Dude, you can't.
Bro, you can't. Okay, I'm sorry.
never know.
Security forces? Are you kidding?
It's a coup. It's a
went
coup
through the
launched by
entire southwestern.
Prem.
Okay,
It's a
dude.
Prem. It is a small mercenary group attacking the largest army in the world. You're not putting down
largest army.
Putin's army in the world. Yes.
Second largest, or
Yeah.
okay, whatever.
By volume, Putin.
America on top, bro. America
But-
on top. Come on.
In terms of development, yeah, but I'm telling you, Russia's army in terms of volume is
Bro, quantity
historically.
doesn't mean shit when
I'm
it's
okay.
terrible.
Honestly, though,
I'm speaking in terms of volume,
Yeah.
and throughout history, Russia's only been successful in wars because of their pure volume and
exactly.
size.
They just have so many troops.
They don't
spare.
have. That's
But
literally
here's the
their
thing.
only thing that they've done that's helped them militarily.
regardless, the thing is, you have trained security forces and you have trained mercenaries, but your security forces are stationed in Moscow.
Right.
They're literally headquartered in Moscow. Is literally at this point is like it's a war center. Like it's just pumping out troops and it's pumping
That's
out
probably
stuff.
true.
But here's
Exactly.
the problem.
'Cause they're
Like,
mobilized.
the thing is, he had intelligence beforehand that this coup attempt was going to happen. He wasn't able to stop it with force, and he had to go. He had to go like the regular like peace route, where he had to make peace with them. But here's the thing: Putin himself is getting compromised. You've seen him have
yeah.
control for 23 years, and you thought he'd be the absolute leader for a while. But now you see his leadership being
Well-
like scrutinized because now he was first of all like the person who is considered a traitor to Russia, so to say. Like the leader of this Wagner group is considered a traitor, obviously, to them. He was not even imprisoned. He wasn't sent. I think he was just sent away. That's it. He allowed the mercenary group to keep their weapons after the fact that they tried a coup attempt. He's losing his power slowly.
Well, so the reason of that is because this is with every really major dictator. When they lose a war, that leads to the own people of their own country thinking that they're weak. And
Right.
relatively, that's right. Also, another thing is during the war, while it was getting weaker and weaker for Russian side, because let's be honest, Ukraine is kicking their ass in the war right now. And
Wait, what did you say?
No.
Did you say
Ukraine
Ukraine
is-
is kicking?
They're barely standing
They're barely
up.
surviving, bro.
what?
Ukraine is
Yes.
on like the brink of extinction, dude.
As in,
barely
as in like they're doing such a good job by just staying in the fight.
Yeah.
But like the one bad thing and they're tipped
it's,
right over.
It's
They're
wild
gone.
that it's. I agree.
Bro, you do realize that they're now trying to get territory into Russia.
And you realize that's entirely because of us, not anything from them.
Okay, but what I mean by the Ukrainian war is this side, like the other side, is kicking their ass.
I still would not say.
I wouldn't say
You
any.
are
I wouldn't.
kicking
I would
their
not say
ass.
anyone is kicking their ass. Kicking their ass at right now.
Low key, but he's not wrong because
not wrong at all, because
he's
the
put
US
Putin in
is
such a
I'm not-
hard position.
He is.
In
He's
such a hard
That's
position
not
to
even what I'm
be.
saying. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying the U.S. has they haven't put a single troop down, right? All they've done is supply weapons. Yeah, okay, at a blank check, but they're still supplying weapons. People end up fighting are still the Ukrainian people. Strategy with some advisors of the U.S. Still the Ukrainian people fighting.
Here's the
right?
thing.
They could have easily left. Zelensky could have easily left the country, right? They're not only in the war, they're winning the war. They're taking back parts to towns that they weren't able to before.
Okay, you could say that, but there's been like remember when it first happened in our senior year? I think it was in February or March of
Yeah.
our senior
Yeah.
year, and we first saw it happen. And then like 2-3 weeks later, we heard about like some crazy like battle win on Ukraine's side just because they were able to like.
They were able to
off
just hold them off.
Yeah.
That's
and
it.
The reason that
That's all
they,
they
I would
have to
say
do.
even that they have like the reason that they even say like, oh yeah, Ukraine is doing well is because they're fending off one of the largest armies, one of the
Doing-
strongest.
doing
The media-
well-
the media-
doing
no, no.
well is different than outperforming your expectations. There's a difference. Their expectation was they were going to get taken in 5 to 10 days or something like that. But
So
they're
that means
actually
they're doing well in the
because-
war.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
liberating towns day and day, and they're getting closer to the Russian border.
But those
Yeah,
are
but
s-
that got taken like
those are
few months
small
back.
That's not
wins.
holding
Think
on.
about it in the
That's
long
winning
run.
the war.
No,
Think
that's
about
not
it in the
winning
long
the war.
run.
How is that not winning
Dude,
the war?
Putin can let him take the small territories as long as he's keeping his main stuff safe. You know, they
Yeah.
can do.
Russia?
War is
The-
not
Also,
like,
you realize
hubs.
Putin can win this war tomorrow if he
Nuclear
wants to.
missiles?
Yeah,
nuclear missiles.
If he
That's
wanted
not
to,
happening, bro.
listen,
That's the
here,
problem.
bro,
That's when
that-
NATO gets
if that's
involved,
what it
bro.
gets
That happens,
to,
then everyone's coming.
exactly.
Then
But
it's
you
then-
never
it's-
know.
that's
I'm
bad,
telling
bro.
you,
No,
you
it
do not
happens.
know if
Dude,
it can
With
happen.
Putin, that's true. You
There is
don't
a
know.
world-
Listen, we're not talking about reasonable people here
Yeah,
that
we're not.
we can
Yeah,
expect they're not going to
I
do
truly
that.
believe that there's a
He can end this anytime he wants to.
No, dude, Putin can't take any action like that because not only he's on the brink of almost civil war in his own nation.
Yeah.
100%.
When's the last time someone has staged a coup attempt on Russia? The
No,
last
and
time-
that's why it's
that's
great.
Hitler.
It's
It was
great.
Hitler.
Yeah.
The last time we did it was Hitler, and he was unsuccessful. There's been like small Russian groups have tried, but they've been unsuccessful. But like you look at it now, like the security of other nations is in question. Okay, Putin's leadership is also in question, and now civil war is in question because like who's the Chechen leader in Russia? What's his name? Whatever. He's like one of like he's part of one of the bigger groups, and now they are gonna try and seize control, and so are other groups in Russia as well.
This
People
whole
say that, but now you got
no,
it.
go.
I was saying like people, you can say that you can say there's tension in Russia now, but you can say there's always been tension in Russia. Like this is just the one
This
action.
is a different.
Oh,
I-
let him.
I think that like
Yeah.
yeah, you see one instance of a coup. How quickly was that? Yes, he knew beforehand that this coup was gonna happen, and he didn't do enough about it. But you can also say that he just didn't think about how large it was gonna be. The moment he realized what was happening, think about how fast it got shut down.
That's what I'm
dude.
saying.
Russia is Putin's power in Russia. No matter how much resilience you get, Ukraine, an entire nation backed by U.S. support, is barely able to fend off Russia in their own homes. Russian people in Russia will not be able to hold a civil war against Putin. Putin just has too much power and too much control over the nation to be able to do that. He feeds half the nation with his money through like paying these people.
I'll let Ari go because I know he was
Yeah.
like waiting to say
So-
something,
so-
but after I disagree with that. So like,
No, because I completely agree with you, Nish. But like, it's these coups and like small rebellions. You see how quickly they're put down. Yes, it's good. It's a sign that power is somewhat shifting, and people in Russia in general are not exactly happy about what's going on. They're also losing family. They're also dying on the front lines for some war that they don't even care about. Most Russians do not want this to happen,
100%,
but they're
yeah.
being thrown into it. But now it's just that they're finally actually putting a stand to it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because you cannot tell me that you see Russia crumbling down from civil war and Putin being overthrown by the end of this. You cannot tell me that you think that's going to happen.
Maybe not overthrown, but it's definitely going to damage the country. Because think about now, it not only will damage their country, it's going to damage the surrounding nations. Because then, if a civil war occurs, you're going to have refugees flooding into Europe, right? And then when that happens, then NATO is going to have to get involved. And then Putin, who's obviously crazy, has a large nuclear arsenal. So if this elevates any more, it not only will affect Russia, but it affects all countries on a world stage as well.
So this is what I wanted to say, right? There's two parts to this. One, there's a civil war within Russia, right? In all aspects, not only the actual military part, but societally as well. Then there's the part with Russia and Ukraine. So first I'll go with the Russian society part, right? After this kind of coup got quilled, I agree that Putin's not going to get overthrown. But this is dude, there was a moment where, like, the Soviet Union was super powerful. Within 2 or 3 days, when Gorbachev and all of them was sick, he was sick, had to go into house arrest, all of a sudden, the USSR was gone, right? I'm not saying that's happening to Putin. I'm just telling you a list of events that have happened, right? There was a time when Putin would sit alone in his room and have food delivered to him, right? And have conference calls with his generals who were like literally 10 feet away from him because he didn't want his drinks to get poisoned. He was that paranoid. Even during this coup, he was so panicked. He was so, like, maybe it was an act, I don't know, but from face value, he was very panicked. He and his close friends fled to this really, like, vacation home he had in Russia, right? He didn't know what he was doing. And yes, I understand the military blockaded Moscow and they were able to fend it off. But this is a bigger issue, right? Because this puts what Rishi said, it's a good point what Rishi said, which was he's in a tough position because he doesn't have a lot of time, because the economic sanctions that NATO has put has led to, is it the ruble? It's the ruble, right? The ruble.
The ruble's destroyed.
Destroyed right now. Yeah. Absolutely destroyed.
Ruble, man.
The people are starving. There's so many people who are not doing that, like, well economically, but that's a Canada move.
That is a Canada move, bro.
It had to happen. Man.
But that's economically is going really bad for his people, right? What is that going to do? That's going to lead to more unrest, less support for Putin, right? Number 2, number 3, he's losing the war against
less
Ukraine.
support.
Putin doesn't give a fuck about his support.
Yo,
you think anybody's ever said, like, oh, we love Putin so
That's
much?
not what I
Russian
said.
people themselves don't love
He
him.
does not care
See,
about support
I'll
for him.
explain why I think that point becomes invalidated. Here's the thing. Putin, support does not matter for Putin. I doubt...
100%.
I
No, it's
doubt
not.
that any citizens in Russia truly, like the majority of citizens in any
I
place
agree
in
with
Russia,
that, yeah.
truly have full devotion to Putin.
But
If
he's an
Putin-
elected president,
but
man.
he's elected- but
He's an
that's the
elected
thing.
president.
If he dies, I will say, if Putin somehow passes away, it creates a power void. And I think in that case, yes, there's a
100%,
chance
yeah.
of a civil war possibly happening from Putin supporters and non-Putin supporters.
The same thing will happen again. Someone just
will.
like him.
No, I agree.
Russia's been in this loop forever.
Yeah,
But
It's like,
something
it'll keep
will
going.
happen which will cause a civil war-like
Right.
occurrence, right? Right now, Putin is alive. Nothing is going to happen. Another thing to say is that, yes, Putin is scared and Putin is worried. Like we said earlier, he controls the entirety of Russia. Secondly, you could say that, dude, this coup, you can argue was less severe than, like, January 5th riots. You had armed people marching into the Capitol. This was not the southwest
I don't agree
corner.
with that at all.
This is the southwest corner of the Capitol.
I don't know about
Here's the
that
difference.
one, but,
Yes, dude. Okay,
It was more of an attack on, like, democracy versus
Okay,
than,
but
like, a
what's the-
leader himself.
Well, I guess
This attack was directly on Putin.
Exactly.
That was the difference.
In this sense, like, I get what he kind of means.
who's the
in that,
leader
like,
of democracy in the free world? The president of the United States.
I see what he means. I wouldn't really compare them. They are very different. But
No, I agree, they are different.
realistically, this coup in Russia, what did it accomplish? Realistically, it's just a morale thing to show other people. It's good for media highlights that, oh, Russia's moving down, Russia's crumbling. When realistically, they put it down in 2 minutes, and then after that, what happened? All this resulted in just more deaths on both sides.
No, listen, you
Exactly.
guys are looking at it from, oh, the public's gonna uproar. That's not
I don't. No. It's not about the public
So what are you
uproar.
saying?
Ours is the complete opposite.
We're saying the public is not going to uproar.
No, but I'm saying why? Because they're powerless, right?
Because they won't do it.
They won't,
They're not
dude.
going to.
Why?
The Russian
Can't, dude.
They're
Unless-
terrified of Russia. Also, do you know
because
how
they're
big
terrified
of the
because they have nothing to fight against them. If they're a 1 million unarmed people against a 10
And how are you
million-
gonna arm
How are you
them?
going to arm every
Are we
single
going to
1
keep
million?
sending over
That's
more
what I'm
checks to
saying.
start
My
arming
point
Russians
is,
now?
It's not about the people. That's
a good
not
idea, man.
That's not. That's
what
not.
I'm
I'm
saying,
saying
like-
it's not about the people, bro. It's
Then what is it about?
It's about the generals, bro. Dude, how does every coup happen? How does in Egypt?
Okay.
In all these places, it's military leaders, right, who are the ones who end up becoming president because they're the one who do the coup. Why do they do that? Because they see civil unrest, right? They see the entire public being dissatisfied. So what do? They already have the military in charge, right? And they're gonna have support of society. So all they have to do is overthrow the main guy. Which when they already have military support, they're gonna do that. Which is why when Putin he's scared because of his generals and his circle overthrowing him. Not of
No,
his
you're right about that. That is how coups are launched, but it's very different because Putin's more involved in the military than other typical
Exactly.
leaders
Yes.
are.
Dude,
Most generals.
Putin acts essentially as the top general. He is so
yes,
involved in the military.
exactly.
He served his whole life in the KGB.
That's true.
He's so involved in this stuff that yes, someone can try to launch something, but at the end of the day, people are scared, and with the size of Russia, the amount of people you would need, who first of all, like you said, are unarmed to actually stage something against the Russian military
You're not staging it
Putin-
with the common person. You're
Putin-
staging it with the military.
Still,
The
Putin is-
military-
Good luck
is-
convincing all of them without Putin knowing.
Dude, there's almost half of the Russian military, like not even okay, I don't know the exact, but there's a bunch of them, like a really good number of them, who've like deserted their posts in Ukraine, who've died, who don't know the direction they're taking.
Yeah,
the
the moment
That
one
could
general stands up to Putin, Putin points a gun at his daughter and shoots her. Like, there's nothing
he has
here-
so much influence and so much
It's-
control.
you don't
it's
realize
impossible.
how
influential Putin is.
Fear does a lot to people, man. I'm telling
No, I
you,
know that,
people
yeah.
will. It's very easy to just say because we read in history books that like these things happen. Think about how few times that realistically happened in history. It's just when you put them all together, it sounds like oh, this stuff happens a lot. It doesn't. This stuff's not. It's not that like
I
a frequent
genuinely think
occurrence.
I agree. If Putin dies, then there is a power void,
No, that's-
and then
yeah,
no
yeah.
matter what, there's gonna be a power grab between different generals, different military leaders, and you're gonna have something happen there.
Yeah.
But we're not in that case.
Yeah.
Of
And
course not, yeah.
unless you are able to get your shot off on Putin and Putin dies, nothing's gonna happen. And you know Putin's not
I mean,
gonna put
that's
himself in
also-
that
And you're also
position.
forgetting like Putin's biggest backer, China, sitting there. Anything
That's true,
happen?
too.
Like Iran said that they're not helping
they're not helping.
Putin
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
coup. That's fine. That's fine. They don't need Iran if they have China backing them.
Yeah.
Russia's military, their core military, whoever stays with Putin, back with China. Say all the other generals revolt and people follow them. China's military plus whatever Russia still has is more than enough to destroy them.
another
Realistically,
thing-
all this
you have to-
results in
yeah.
is just more deaths, and then Russia's going to continue going for Ukraine.
And not only that, think about it. The last time Russia's own military staged a coup, KGB headliners in 1990, it was in the 90s, right? It happened in the 90s. They staged a coup and they failed. And that's when Russia's relations with China were not as strong as they are now, as they are with Putin. Now you think about when that happens, how strong Russia is compared to now versus the 90s. There is no chance of Putin getting overthrown.
You'll have
in
one-off coups all
any-
the time. Yeah,
Yes.
like yes, it shows that, like Ari said, it shows there's people who are willing to go
Exactly.
against him.
But it's a minuscule
those
amount.
People is
Yeah.
one guy who then got shut down in 2 seconds, and now
Exactly.
the rest of Russia's like,
And if,
now we
if,
can't
if you're
do
trying to
anything.
argue that all of his generals turn on him, fine, benefit of the doubt, let's assume all of his generals turn on him. You know the amount of time and organization it'll take to coordinate such a large force between all of the generals, all the armies, to launch something against Putin. You think he won't find out in that time and just shut it down?
there's
My
generals.
thing is when you're in a inner circle of people, right, who answer to one person, all 5 or 6 of them go up to Putin, right? You think Putin's only influence is as big as his circle, as big as loyalists, right? That's with anybody in human nature. But what I'm saying is, if the main 5 or 6 people who have the military in hand, okay, fine, Putin's the top leader, but if the sub commanders all work together, they could overthrow Putin. Which
that's
is what
the
he's
problem.
scared of.
Prigozhin was not a top leader.
I'm not saying Prigozhin.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not
but,
talking about.
okay,
I'm just saying the
yeah,
actual like.
yeah,
but
but Prigozhin was not a
and
top
all of
leader.
them.
He was
Yeah.
able to change his mentality. He was able to launch that coup. Russia's top leaders, top generals,
But
right?
they're
The
also-
close circle for
they're
Putin
probably very
is
loyal to
not.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the
that's the
people.
main thing,
Those are the
yeah.
people who
Exactly.
believe in like
That's the
Putin
main
as like a
thing.
god.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Gonna,
yeah.
they're
That's
not.
the main
They
thing.
probably
That's the
agree with
biggest issue.
every decision he makes. They're probably
Right.
the ones behind the decision he makes.
He's a true commander in chief. Like the United States president does not have the control that Putin just. Russia's a military state. The United States might have the largest military in the world, not by volume, but they might have the largest military in the world. We are not, in any sense, as strong as Russia is when it comes to just pure military power from a governmental standpoint.
100%. Like how much control?
Yeah, our military is definitely stronger than Russia, but
Yeah.
but
I know what Nick was
Government,
saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
governmentally,
yeah.
like
How
Putin
much-
owns the
Right,
Putin
yeah.
owns the army, he owns the government, he
Yeah.
owns the generals, he owns every single facet, and those close people, those 5, are never gonna sweat.
That's the biggest thing, right? They're not going to revolt because they're so loyal because he's put them in those positions.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
that makes sense. Yeah.
and also you're forgetting that we are in America. We're only going to see things that we know
yeah,
about. You know,
yeah,
we don't
that's
see
very
the
true.
average Russian what they're thinking. You know, we don't
100%,
know what
yeah.
all those generals are thinking. We just see this person launched something
And
against
a lot of
it.
people might be like brainwashed into thinking a
Yeah.
certain way.
Yeah.
People in these countries, like these kind of countries, they you don't understand how they think. Nobody can.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, like in North Korea.
Yeah, North
Oh
North
my God,
Korea,
that's
people
crazy.
literally believe Kim Jong
He's a
Un
god.
did
He's a god,
everything.
yeah.
It says
Yeah.
that his dad invented the cheeseburger. Like
Yeah,
that is like
yeah.
written in law. Like that is
Yeah.
how it's meant to be remembered.
That's
Like
literally-
these people don't have like a normal
Yeah.
like outlook that we have on these kind of things.
You know what's wild? One of the ideas that has been thought of to like overthrow North Korea has literally been dropped pamphlets with pictures, information written in Korean about the rest of the world, so the public understands what's going on. It's like that same idea you can apply to Russia, where it's like
100%.
you don't know how brainwashed they are. Like North Korea, we know, right?
I feel like, but North Korea is a little bit more of an isolated.
It is. I
state.
know.
It
I
is,
completely
it is.
agree.
Have you seen
completely agree.
the picture from like space? Seeing how that's one of the only borders you can see.
Oh yeah, like you see just a
Yeah.
line
just
straight
because
up
the
lined up.
lights are just
On
gone.
the-
They're
yeah.
so
Yeah,
technologically
yeah.
behind
Yeah.
that you see South Korea, North Korea. It's like
DMZ is just
Yeah.
like
Do you guys see that one? You guys see that one North Korean person who left and has been speaking?
Yeah, yeah,
around?
yeah, yeah.
She
Oh,
said
yeah.
that like they eat what they kill. They're like
Yeah.
summer's the best time because that's when you eat the crops.
Yep.
But winter is when the most people die because you eat grasshoppers and grasshoppers don't come out when it's cold outside.
No.
exactly yeah.
It's crazy how that
But
happens.
that's like the idea. It's like we
the
obviously
communist
Russia's
state of mind.
Russia
Yeah,
is a
it's
lot more
simply what it
connected
is.
to the world. So
Yeah.
Russia, I'm sure Russian people have a better understanding. But who knows, especially in a lot of like these smaller, less connected towns,
Yeah.
what their perception of the government is and what the perception of the rest of the world is. Like they might truly believe in Russia's power, and in the other case, they might fully be against Russia, but they just can't do anything about it because again, fully like military state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day,
Because a communist state builds a communist state of mind in their people as well, so they believe what their president says. You know,
Yeah.
if he says, you know, everyone fly to America and bomb every tower, and there's a high chance that you know people will believe in Putin. Will do what he says.
yeah,
You know,
exactly what you said.
it's literally like
Yeah,
it's just
it's-
they're so like
Communist state of mind.
yeah
Like
they're-
Empire state of mind.
the Empire state of mind, a communist state of mind. But they're literally so influenced by Putin. It's just so hard to stage anything against him.
Yeah.
It's
Honestly,
impossible
it's just
to.
like a scary fact. Like a lot of people don't know. Like, I mean, okay, to us to some extent don't know the true realities because our medias are also censored to some extent. But like they
Censored
Very-
and
yeah.
falsified, by the way.
falsified.
I wouldn't even say some extent anymore.
Yeah, like
man.
it's we're reaching different
I
levels.
mean,